This is Michaela McLean, and you're listening to Beauty by Design. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you for being here again. It's time to talk about Gate 13. But before we get into it, I just want to mention if you leave the podcast a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, you can get a gate guide with all clickable links to the deep dive episodes for all 64 gates. And the deep dives, of course, as you know, if you listen, they talk about the gate itself, the gene key, what it connects to, its programming partner, just kind of like all the details. I'm a 4-1, right? I love the details. And so this is a really easy way to navigate the podcast. I have free charts on my website, michaelamclean.com. So you can get your chart and then you can check out all of the gates that correspond to you. Or you can just follow along, or you're searching for something. You're like, gosh, I really want to know what my, Jupiter is. Well, have a look. Boom, click, you're there. I try to make it really easy because the gates do not go in chronological order. So the way to get it, like I said, leave the podcast a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and then send me a screenshot of your published review. My email, where to send it, is linked in the show notes. And then, of course, like I said, free charts, master classes, yoga nidras, all the good things, everything you're going to need to know. And then follow along over on Instagram at Michaela McLean, where I share the extras, the tangible ways to use this information every week, really every 6 days as the sun transits. And we're looking at the center, what frequency, what essential oil, like what all can I bring into my life to kind of bring me back into homeostasis. I have one channel. It's in the centering circuit. My whole thing is to be centered as a response to life. So I'm always looking for the tools to bring me to that place, and then sharing, empowering with other people essentially to have that as well. My big one right now, Little Fox came out with the Enlightenment, the Spirit blend, and I'm just like in love with it. It has frankincense. Frankincense crosses the blood-brain barrier. It decreases inflammation. It does all of these amazing things. And so that's my latest that I've been working with for a few of the different gates energy, because there's a few different, obviously it's a blend. There's a few different oils that have been very applicable to things that have been going on. But I just love it. It's plant medicine, so if you haven't checked out Little Fox's offerings, I highly recommend it, because that's what it's tapped into, is the energetics of essentially essential oils. And it's so beautiful. So yeah, have a candor. Of course, for my pros, reach out if you want a little bit more information, even on bringing that into your treatment room. Okay, so let's get into it. Of course, find everything linked in the show notes or my Instagram bio at Michaela McLean. And my disclaimer, as always, don't try to understand this at the mental level. Just let the sound current, the energy, the frequency of beauty sink deep into your cells like good skincare. All right. So today, the sun moves through Aquarius into Human Design Gate 13, which is located in the G center. And it's part of the collective abstract or sensing circuitry, which is the more yin, feminine, experiential, intuitive, and receptive side of the chart that is more focused on reflecting on and making sense of the past. Hindsight's 2020. Abstract is very much, it's the journey, not the destination. It's not about goals. It's about the experience, and then sharing whatever that experience was, whatever you learned from it. And on that note, everything in the abstract circuitry carries with it great expectations, which need to be managed. You just have to enter into things for the sake of it and reflect later. It is experience for experience's sake. Unlike logical circuitry, this is not about predicting, but about remembering. Again, I already mentioned this, but it's like hindsight is 2020. Okay, so starting with the center itself, the G center gates all revolve around themes of love, identity, and direction. It's home to the magnetic monopole, the one-way magnet that draws everything that is loving and beautiful our way. So 13 is known as the fellowship of man. It's the gate of the listener. And it is direction or directing by looking back, hearing other people's secrets. So 13 has nicknames like the therapist and the vault. It's the energy of a secret keeper. The low expression of 13 could show up as not listening, not wanting to listen, not wanting to hear, not accepting the gift you've been given. You've been put here to listen to others, making them feel seen and heard. It could be superficial interactions and ignoring the message underneath of what people are saying. Somebody saying, like, I'm fine, but you're a 13 person and you can tell there's pain there. There's something going on, and just taking it for face value. Staying on the surface instead of going deep with people. You could also not be listening to yourself and your own deep wisdom. It could also be letting secrets slip out or not discerning the correct time and place to share the things that you know, really the things you've been told. But the high expression is welcoming the role of the listener into your life. People just randomly spill their guts to the people with this gate, with this 13 energy. Uh, that could be confusing until you understand why. Why are they doing this? Instead of resisting and or being annoyed at this, lean in, offer a empathetic ear, a shoulder to cry on. 13 is here to bear witness to other stories and then offer guidance and direction. It's a natural therapist. In its high expression, it's honoring other stories, making them feel seen, heard, understood. If you have 13, really work on developing your listening skills and your capacity for empathy. Help others to see their stories from a new perspective, like a historian that's seen it all play out before. And, you're wise, you're looking back. You have the capacity to assist others in healing simply through the power of your aura. You have this safe space aura about you. A gate 13 person has all the tea, but they will not be spilling it when they are living in their high expression. So in the gene keys, the shadow of this one is discord. The gift is discernment, which is that ability to judge people or things well. And the city is empathy. So this one is not about hearing, but about listening. It's not just taking in the acoustics, the noise, the sound. It's really about giving your attention and deeply listening to another, like completely giving your attention, deeply listening with every cell to another person, giving your whole self to receive them. And that's the discord experience in the shadow. It's about not listening, not processing, not learning from your own past issues, mistakes, experiences. People staying in their cycle of self-destruction. And just like its partner, the gate 33 that completes the channel, the gift of discernment really comes from eventually taking a step back and becoming a witness to life, to the myths, to the archetypes of these grand storylines and themes, and then transcending your own emotional involvement, your own dramas, your own hangups. And then regarding the city of empathy, basically it's like most people use empathy and sympathy interchangeably. They get them confused and they do mean different things, Um, he talks about, again, Richard Redden in the Gene Keys talks about the tarot and the 13th card, 13th city. Well, 13th card is death, which a lot of people are scared by. I love that card. It's so beautiful. It's about transcendence and transformation and all of these really amazing things. Um, and really what's going on here, it's like the correlation between death and empathy. It's like you're transcending the separate self. And it's this ability to really feel into the other person. Like, you're dissolving essentially so that you can experience what it's like for other people. So it's not about sympathizing, right? Sympathy is the awareness and the comprehension of another's suffering, feeling bad for them. It's a reaction to someone suffering. It's more on the surface, like, oh, I'm sorry that you're feeling bad. But to empathize, this is this ability to vicariously identify with and viscerally feel and experience what is happening within another. You're in it with them. So very different there, so empathy being the citic state of 13 of I'm sitting with you and I'm in it with you, right? I'm not looking at you as separate. Like I am witnessing you in your story, whether that's happy, sad, good, bad, whatever. That is the gift of 13. And interestingly, on this sort of like spectrum, eventually it moves beyond empathy and into compassion. So when we get to gate 36, my sun gate, we will talk about that whole spectrum as like we move along that of feeling for and with and through other people. But again, 13, it's collectively about being one. This is very Aquarian. It's like holding space for the all. Okay, so my notes here, this is part of a self-projected channel. So projector rules apply, seen, recognized, and invited to listen. Although with the coding, essentially that gate 13 gives you in your chart, you probably just find yourself being the natural therapist. But giving any direction or advice, you just have to remember it needs to be asked for. When somebody wants to trauma dump maybe on you, or just, again, spill their guts or tell you all the things, proactively asking them, are you looking for advice or you just want me to listen? That's really helpful with this one. Um, 13 is the gate that begins the first quarter of the wheel. So this is about giving direction. This is why this is important, right? If it's a projected energy, it needs an invitation to direct people to guide their energy. I need an invitation. So do you just want me to listen to you? Or are you actually wanting me to listen and then help guide you? So, of course, this begins the quarter, so that means it's a right angle cross of the Sphinx, which is all about direction, these four particular gates. And just like the G center love gates start with the solstices and the equinoxes, the G center gates that are about direction, they begin the quarter of each wheel. And so this is all the fixed signs, whereas the love gates start all the cardinal signs. Just some line one details for my fellow line ones. um, 13, the gifted clairaudience. This is part of it. Clear hearing, really absorbing the frequency of what is being transmitted, reading between the lines, so to say, intuiting the message behind the words that somebody is speaking. So important that you're practicing active listening, putting the phone down, eye contact, body language, not jumping in to respond or offer advice right away. With 13, like think of an actual therapist, like how they behave, repeating back what you've heard somebody say to make sure that, you got it correctly. What I'm hearing you say is, um, yeah, I mean, just interesting skills to develop with 13, you know? So the programming partner for this one, meaning if the sun is in Aquarius gate 13, the earth is automatically opposite in Leo gate 7. And 7 is known as the army. It's the role of the self in interaction. And this one is, like, if you folded the chart in half, these two they're mirror images of each other. So this is collective logic circuitry. This is direction or directing by looking forward, leading by influence. So again, one of the gates of direction in the body graph. This one is in its slow expression. It's about hierarchy, self-serving, not having the best outcome for everyone in mind, or just like hiding and not stepping into leadership and allowing themselves to be seen. But 7 in its high state is the democratic leader. It's logically focused on a better and brighter future for all. 7 is a visionary. It's a virtuous leader, somebody who sees where we as a collective need to be going. 7 carries the role of the guide, giving heart-centered direction, right? Again, coming from the G center. This energy identifies where correction or adjustments need to be made to get us as a collective, as a people, there, wherever there is. People with gate 7 are catalysts for change. They reorient society into a new direction. They have a vision and a map they're able to just like map out the course and make things happen. Remember its title about being the head of the army. This is about organizing your troops and let's go. The circuitry opposite to the collective abstract, we're in collective logic here. It's like this circuitry recognizes patterns and it knows what hasn't worked in the past and formulates a plan to move everyone forward to a better future. So gate 7 energy is deeply influential, but it's definitely about influencing the influencer. It's they always call it the power behind the throne or the chief of staff. They really are the power. It's coming from the G center. These people know the direction, but they're not always the most visible piece of that. Um, they're kind of influencing other people who influence the collective. Okay, so like I said, it's also a G center direction gate. 13, we're over there trying to make sense of the past, giving guidance based on the past. And 7 is looking toward the future and guiding the way forward. That one's my Leo moon. And then the gate that completes the channel is also Leo, gate 33, forming the channel of the prodigal. And 33 is known as retreat. It's the gate of privacy. And this is an active withdrawal and the transformation of a weak position into a strength. Now, this is a throat gate, and all the throat gates have a voice. And this one is I remember. So this is one of the 3 gates of aloneness in human design. These gates, the other 2 are 12 and 40, and they all need significant alone time, but for very different reasons. So 33 is all about a moment of silence, taking a beat that comes at the end of every cycle of experience. So the energy of this gate absorbs so much, it requires a ton of alone time. I laugh because, again, this is my North Node. I have this twice. I'm like, it needs so much alone time because it's trying to remember all the events that have happened. It's got to review the information, the lessons, the memories, the stories. It's always reflecting and digesting. So quiet time is very necessary to process everything that it's learned and witnessed so that it can be spun into wisdom that will eventually be shared with other people. And so this one, in its low expression, it's just like, hey, it needs to mature over time. Um, it can want to share experiences. Again, this is projected, right? So sharing experiences before you've had time to experience the many, many, many cycles of life. It is a wisdom that deepens over a long period of time. So I've always thought I could see the low part of this is like trying to be a wise elder before you actually are one. And it can also be, it can get caught in cycles basically, and it forgets, and the gene keys, that is its shadow. It's like forgetting and looping on the same unhelpful experiences or behavior patterns, um, and then repeating them, right? Doesn't remember it's been there before, or possibly even retreating entirely and hiding away from the world or holding on to the past in like a negative way. But 33 in its high expression is about turning the act of retreat into a strength. And I personally see this because it's very personal for me, as knowing when to pull back or when to pull away to regenerate through silence, space, meditation, time in nature, acts of self care. And then, just naturally knowing when it's time to reemerge. And then you have up leveled, you know. This gate is about processing and finding the wisdom, the hidden meaning. It's connecting the dots behind everything, and then it shares it. It spins it all together. Um, I always call this my synthesizer. That is my word for it. It's like just pulling everything together. Side note, I had a session this morning with somebody and they knew more human design than the average person I work with, which I love. They were putting things in there about, they were using very specific language in their intake form. And I was like, yes, I know I'm get to jump in and go deep with this person. But the thing I explained, I was like, I was an astrology girl from the time I was a kid. So I have that background before human design. And then I've got like, you know, I trained as a yoga teacher, I've Reiki master. I know tarot. I know so many things. And I said, when I read for people, I really pull from so many places. because I see the big picture. 33 is like collected it all and then it all makes sense, right? So, yeah, I just always think about that. I always say it's like the snow globe getting shook up and then all the particles fall back into place, which is why you need the alone time because then it all clicks. It just falls in. But I do always think with this one, it's about like, you know, how you got to go be alone. Like a writer needs to go up to the cabin, their thoughts, the blank paper, and here it comes. Because they really are the recounters of stories and of wisdom, you know. And I always say that I think that this being so personal for me is why I'm so obsessed with journaling because you have to write it down. I mean, I do. I'll forget. I got to keep it. I got to keep track of everything, you know. Um, and 33 is also an extremely private gate. You know, it is definitely like it's more hidden away. You know, it has to retreat. And that's important to kind of keep in mind again for this channel, even, you know. Um, One of the things that the founder of Human Design, Rotterdam, who said about the 33rd gate was that it can be incredibly spiritual. And aside from being a gate of remembrance, it could also be a gate of revelation. This is about being a witness to life. One of the deepest things the abstract circuitry, right? The abstract being learns is about being a good passenger in the vehicle, meaning relax and enjoy the ride. Just watch the scenery going by. Don't get too attached to the outcome. And again, like I said, it's like to me, it's like, hey, we took the ride, we took the trip, and we saw things and we learned things. And I was noting it in my journal and maybe taking pictures, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then it's like a snow globe. Here come all the little particles falling back into place, you know, synthesizing together. I always say like blending for me, all these branches of esoteric wisdom that I just like intuitively pulled together. And boom, out kind of comes the prescription. That's exactly how I work. So anyway, um 33 is also the stop codon. It is the end, right? So when I say like taking a beat at the end of a cycle, it's like, yeah, in the gene keys, it's like literally boom, the end. So the retreat, I just think this is helping people learn the benefit of privacy, retreat to strengthen, retreat to restore themselves. Yoga Nidra, why you know I'm so hot for that. That is about retreat into yourself. Pratyahara and yoga. It's like retracting, removing, you know, all of like the sensory pieces. You're turning off to go in and strengthen and rejuvenate. I mean, you know, I'm always talking about yoga nidra, but the scientific benefits are wild. They're so wild. And you're just like turning off and letting the particles fall into place. You're letting your brain and your body repair itself while you rest. That's it. I'm obsessed. I love it so much. Anyway, all right, back on track. Gate 13 is the soul centered direction of the G center, connecting to 33 in the throat to express the stories and the wisdom of the past. When the two come together to form the channel of the prodigal, it's about sharing with the collective the cycles, the lived experiences of others, looking back and sharing so that past mistakes don't have to be repeated, right? This is actually a very generational channel. It's very cyclical. These people are historians. They're people who keep track, journaling, scrapbooking, photo albums, you know, whatever, however they keep track. They are quietly collecting information and can sense out and discern the vibe underneath the surface of the story. So 13, like, you know, listens, hears, collects the past, and 33, excuse me, recounts it. You know, it tells it when the time's right. um, and again, like it's mirror image. I already said this. If you fold the chart in half, you're going to get the channel of the alpha, the 7 to 31. That is a leadership channel, but that is like leading the charge ahead, right? The army leader and the gate of influence, they're like going ahead. Whereas this one is more of a wise elder. It's like, oh, honey, I've seen and done it all. And if I haven't done it, I've witnessed it all been done before, you know, and like, here we go. Here's the wisdom that I've derived from this and helping other people through the life cycles, right? So if you have 13 alone, you may never share the secrets. And then if you have the 33 without the 13, like me, you may lack the sense of timing that lets you know when to share the stories. You may never share the stories. It's projected, right? It needs an invitation to share its wisdom. And then astrologically, this channel would be a Aquarius, there's our 13, and Leo 33, an opposition aspect. Now, this is happening in the first quarter of the wheel. Like I said, it's the first gate of the first quarter. This is the quarter of initiation. It's purpose fulfilled through the mind. Okay, so, do you have this gate looking at your chart, the G center, the diamond at the middle? It's on the right hand side, pointing upward toward the throat. So, if 13 is colored in black, red, or red and black, you have it defined in your chart. If it's white, looks like mine, look on the other side. Maybe you are like me and you have the 33 colored in, or maybe you don't have any of it at all. If you have the 33, you're going to get the full channel, like myself, for approximately 6 days. But if it's white, you're going to experience it through the transits. You're going to experience it right now. Pay attention. You're going to experience it through other people. Look at the charts of the people in your life, friends, family, whomever. Again, free charts on my site, MichaelaMcLean.com, with all the extras. So it's good. Yeah. It is just fascinating to be like, who's the person that you can run to and tell all your secrets and you know it will never go anywhere? It will never go past them. Check their chart and see if they have 13. Or is that you? It's a really cool gift to have. Okay. I will be back soon with more, of course. Please, again, you want to go leave the podcast a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. I would love it. Send me a screenshot to my email that's in the show notes. And that's it. I'll get you over a robust gate guide, podcast episode guide with the keywords and the clickable links to take you to any one of the 64 gates at the touch of the screen. Help you navigate really easy. And of course, if you want to learn more human design, you can get the free charts, the free guide, $11 master classes, and then the yoga nidras that are going to let you experience the 33 retreat benefits, your little mini retreat of the beauty benefits of yoga nidra, the sound healing that I layer in there, the choice words, all of that, bypass the conscious mind, get into the subconscious and really start living and embodying your design from a very deep level. But it's so passive. There is no effort involved other than hitting play and laying down and relaxing. It's the best. Yeah. Anyway, more things coming soon. As soon as I figure, you know what? I realized this. I was talking to my friend and I'm like, I'm in a 33 mode right now. I am in a retreat. Things are happening, but I think we're just going to be cool being there. And that's okay. And I'll look towards springtime. You know, there's rebirth coming. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. So if you're feeling that too, don't worry. Don't worry. It's all good. The spring, or the new year astrologically will happen when we move into Aries season and gate 25. So I'm like, we got to go through the death and rebirth of my birthday, and we go into the new year for astrology. So I'm like, we're just gonna go with that. I'm rocking with spring this year. Okay, again, follow me over on Instagram at Michaela McLean for the updates each week, to follow the transits, how to use them in a tangible way, the oils, the crystals, the frequencies, all the good stuff, the little nuggets that I pull out, and yeah, make it very useful in like real life. All right, of course, until next time, have a beautiful day.